Welcome to another custom-tailored deep dive, everyone. I'm so glad you can join us today because we have a really fascinating mission for this one. We are going to be unpacking permission, power, and control inside your business networks.
Yeah, and it's a topic that a lot of businesses genuinely struggle with.
Oh, absolutely. And to pull this off, we've got a really great stack of courses today. We are looking at the official CIS controls, specifically version 8.1.2, focusing heavily on Control 6. And we're pairing that with a super practical script from CyberOpSource.
Right, which I think is a brilliant pairing, honestly,
Yeah.
because, the CIS documentation gives us all the rigorous industry standard theory, but then the cyber ops source material grounds it.
Yeah, it asks those uncomfortable operational
Yeah,
questions.
exactly. It forces you to ask how a business actually implements all this stuff on a random Tuesday afternoon when, frankly, everyone is just too busy.
Right. Okay, let's unpack this because if you happen to catch our previous deep dive on CIS Control 5, you might be sitting there wondering how Control 6 is actually any different.
Right, they do sound similar at first glance.
Yeah, but they're fundamentally different. Control 5 asks a very simple question, which is basically, who has an account? But Control 6 asks, what can that account do?
And that distinction, that is the entire ballgame right there.
It really is.
Access control is not just about logging in. It's not about the front door. It is entirely about what a person or a vendor or an admin or even like a service account can reach after they log in.
I like to use a plain English analogy here. Think of your business as of a physical building, right?
Mm-mm.
Control 5 is just knowing who has a corporate badge. But Control 6 is knowing exactly which interior doors that badge opens. Because let's be real, not everyone needs access to the server room.
Exactly. Not everyone needs access to payroll or to the unencrypted customer records.
Right. But that brings up the messy reality of how things actually work day to day.
Yeah.
Since we logically know that, an entry-level employee shouldn't have the keys to the corporate bank accounts, how do people end up with so many keys in the first place?
Well, it happens through a very quiet process we call access creep. And what's important to realize is it rarely starts maliciously.
It's just people trying to do their jobs, right?
Exactly. It's just organizational motion over time. A person starts in one role, say customer service, so IT gives them access to the ticketing system, but then 6 months later, marketing needs help.
So they jump over to help marketing.
Right. They help out on a project, so IP grants them access to the marketing folders and the social media accounts. Then a year later, maybe they get promoted to a completely different department.
And I'm guessing nobody actually bothers to remove the old access?
Almost never. The focus is always on getting them what they need for the new job right now. Nobody wants to slow down a project just to audit old permissions.
So they just walk around with this massive, heavy janitor's keychain of permissions.
Yeah, exactly.
I think we can summarize this into a crucial rule for our listeners. Access should match the job, not the person's history with the company.
That is the perfect way to frame it. Because that janitor's keychain is a massive vulnerability. And the solution to that is what we call least privilege.
Which means having the exact minimum access needed to do your job right. No more, no less.
Right. Because attackers today, they don't usually need to break into everything from scratch. They just need to compromise the right account.
So if I have 10 years of accumulated access and I get phished, the attacker gets 10 years of access too.
Precisely. Your blast radius is huge.
Yeah.
But if you only have least privilege, the attacker hits a wall. What's fascinating here is how heavily this actually applies to local access on an employee's physical laptop, too.
Wait, really? Just the local laptop?
Yeah. If a normal employee has local administrator rights on their machine, just so they can install a printer driver or whatever, any malware they accidentally download runs with those exact same admin privileges.
Oh, wow. So instead of just being stuck in a sandbox, the malware can just take over the whole machine.
Exactly. Because you had admin rights, the malware gets a VIP pass to destroy your system.
That is terrifying. Okay, so if access creep is the disease and least privilege is the cure, what's the actual treatment plan?
Well, it comes down to the access lifecycle.
Granting, revoking, all that.
Yeah. But honestly, the revoking part is where things fall apart.
Let me push back on that for a second, though. Is it really that common for businesses to just totally forget to remove access when someone leaves?
Oh, it is incredibly common. They might remember to turn off the main email account, sure, but they constantly forget about the random cloud storage accounts or the accounting software or shared drives.
Right.
And the biggest blind spot of all is contractors and vendors. They finish a 3-month project, they get paid, they leave, and their remote access stays active for 3 years.
Which is just a wide open window for an attacker.
Yeah.
But reading through the CIS document, I actually found a nuance here that surprised me.
Oh, about terminations.
Yeah, it says sometimes when you terminate an employee, you actually shouldn't delete their account right away. That sounds so counterintuitive.
It does sound crazy, but there's a very good technical reason for it. If you delete the account entirely, you often delete the audit trails attached to it.
Oh, I see. You're shredding the evidence.
Exactly. Disabling the account instead of deleting it stops them from logging in. The door is locked. But the logs showing what they did before they left are perfectly preserved.
That makes total sense. We're freezing the timeline. And speaking of hidden access, the sources also talk about forgotten ghosts in the machine. Not human vendors, but service accounts.
Yes, the automated accounts. These are huge risks.
The document mentions developers leaving clear text tokens or passwords in code. For those of us who aren't writing code every day, what is a token?
Think of a token as a really long, complex password that lets two pieces of software talk to each other automatically without a human typing anything in.
Okay, so where does the danger come from?
Well, picture a developer at 2 in the morning. They're tired, they're trying to get a database connection to work, so they just paste the actual token right into their script to test it. Yeah, and then they forget it's there, and they post that code to a public cloud repository like GitHub.
And attackers are just waiting for that.
Exactly. They have bots scanning GitHub 24/7. The second that token goes public, an attacker uses it to raid the database.
Man, that's a nightmare. All right, so we've talked about limiting access and cleaning up ghosts, but what about the heavy hitters? The actual IT admins?
Right, the people who actually need the master keys.
Yeah, because here's a fundamental rule. The more power an account has, the more protection it needs.
Absolutely. And that brings us straight to the MFA mandate.
Multi-factor authentication.
Yes. Safeguards 6.3, 6.4, and 6.5 break this down. Basically, MFA must be required for 3 things: externally exposed applications, remote network access, and all administrative access.
External apps being things like web email or cloud HR portals.
Right. Anything that touches the public internet. But the remote network access ones, things like VPNs, this raises an important question for you, the listener.
What's that?
Can anyone access your network remotely with only a password? Because if the answer is yes, your business is at a very serious immediate risk. Passwords alone cannot protect a remote tunnel into your network.
They just get phished or guessed too easily.
Exactly.
And then there's the administrative access. And here's where it gets really interesting for me. The CIS source specifically points out that high-privileged accounts should never be used for everyday tasks like surfing the web or checking emails.
Yes, the separation of duties. This is critical.
But why is that? If I'm the IT director, why can't I just use my admin account to read a PDF?
Because if you are logged in as a domain admin and you accidentally click a malicious link in an email, that malware executes with domain admin rights. It owns the entire network instantly.
Wow. So what's the workaround?
Admins should have 2 separate accounts, one standard, non-elevated account for checking email and doing normal office stuff, and then for actual admin work, they should use privileged access management tools.
Those are the PAMM tools, right?
Yes, PAM. It's a system where you essentially check out a one-time password for a specific task, and then it expires.
Like a digital hotel safe.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
And they should also be using secure jump boxes.
Dump boxes.
Yeah, it's a hardened, isolated computer. You don't connect to the critical servers from your daily laptop. You connect to the jump box first and manage things from there. So there's an airlock between your email and the core infrastructure.
Okay, that sounds incredibly secure, and I have to put myself in the shoes of a small business owner here, implementing MFA, PAM tools, jump boxes, granting rules, revoking rules. That sounds like a total logistical nightmare.
Oh, if you try to do it manually, it is. It's impossible.
Right. So how does a business actually bring order to this chaos without needing a 50-person IT team?
Well, first you have to take inventory. That's Safeguard 6.6. You cannot manage what you don't know exists. You have to find all the HR systems, the password managers, everything that controls logins.
Okay, step 1 is visibility.
Right. Then step 2 is Safeguard 6.7, centralizing that access.
Using a single identity system. Things like Microsoft 365, Google Workspace, or a single sign-on provider.
Exactly, SSO. Instead of having 50 different login portals to manage, you tie them all to one central directory. So when someone leaves, you don't have to flip 50 different off switches. You just flip the one main breaker switch in the SSO, and it cuts their access to everything instantly.
That makes enforcing MFA and removing old users infinitely easier. But what about the access creep problem? How do we stop that from the start?
That is Safeguard 6.8 Role-Based Access Control, or RBAC.
RBAC.
Yes. Instead of looking at an individual and asking, what access has Dave collected over the last 5 years, you define what access the role needs.
Like the finance role or the sales role.
Exactly. The finance role gets access to the billing software and the finance folder, period. When you hire someone in finance, you don't clone Dave's messy account. You just assign them the finance role.
Oh, that is so much cleaner.
Right. If we connect this to the bigger picture, role-based access turns this chaotic, highly customized mess of permissions into a clean, repeatable system that actually scales securely.
So what does this all mean for the people listening right now? I think the main takeaway here is that you need to be continually asking yourself, does this person have the right access for their role, or do they just have way too much access?
Yes, that is the perfect question to ask.
And honestly, this ties perfectly into the value of cyber ops source assessments.
It really does.
Because reading a framework is one thing, but a cybersecurity assessment helps a business answer the really hard, practical questions. It uncovers the reality of your network.
Yeah, it forces you to look in the dark corners.
Right. Questions like, do your employees currently have more access than they actually need? Are your admin and remote access points genuinely protected with MFA? Are your former employees and vendors actually fully removed from the systems?
And are permissions actually based on defined roles, or is everyone just getting whatever they ask for?
Exactly. So for you, listening to this deep dive right now, the goal is for you to walk away thinking, I need to check not just who has access, but what each person can actually do once they get inside.
Absolutely.
And I want to leave you with one final, slightly provocative thought to mull over on your own.
Oh, I like where this is going.
Building on what we talked about earlier about disabling accounts instead of deleting them to preserve audit trails.
Right.
Imagine if an attacker managed to compromise a disabled, long-forgotten vendor account in your system tomorrow, and they used it to start quietly trying to open the digital doors to your payroll system. Would your audit trails actually sound the alarm? Or would they just quietly record the ghost wandering your digital halls completely unnoticed?
Wow. Yeah, that is the ultimate test of your visibility right there.
It really makes you think. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. We'll catch you on the next one.